Ladies and gentlemen, hey, welcome to the program today. My name is Warren Stokes. I'm the Director of Sales at Ovidian Technologies, the developers of Profit CRM, but today we're focusing on our core platform called Microsoft Outlook. I'm sure if you've signed up for this webinar, you're probably already an Outlook user. The intent that I have today is to give you a lot of tips and tricks on essentially becoming more productive with Microsoft Outlook, and we're going to be demonstrating this in an environment which is the Microsoft 365. So it will be Outlook 365, but pretty much all the tips and tricks, with a few exceptions, can be used in Outlook versions going back to even 2010. So hopefully you'll get a lot of value out of today's program, and I will continue to post my contact information at the end of the program. And feel free to reach out to me. Maybe I can help you out. So the topics today is all around understanding Outlook functions. In this case, we're going to get pretty advanced, but I will start with some of my favorite top 7 tips and tricks for you to, be more productive, use Outlook more effectively, impress your friends and colleagues. But Outlook is a very powerful program. I have it on good authority that Microsoft's flagship product is still Microsoft Outlook. So of course it's well known for being an email client, one of the best out there in the world, I would say. Many people would agree, hundreds of millions of people would agree. Calendaring function is second to none. Tasks, not everyone uses them, but they're very powerful. We'll be covering some great content on tasks, which create your to-do list. And contacts. There's a whole lot of other things we're going to be touching upon, like setting up views, how to get your screens and your views the way you like them. The ribbon, it might seem simple, but there's quite a few things that we'll learn about that. Collapsing the ribbon, customizing the ribbon, inserting content from templates in a number of different ways. There's still quick parts. It's a tried and true templating technique. In 365, they've added a templating function throughout Outlook. There's a function called Quick Steps, which is really awesome. Just saves you a lot of time and helps you be more productive. You can insert signatures automatically or at one at a time. We'll cover some searching. I should actually relabel that. I'd call it finding, because searching isn't the end goal. It's finding stuff. So there's some basic search techniques I'll be going over. And then we can talk a little bit about the Boolean search capabilities, like searching for and or type terminology. Finding exact match using quotation marks. And then there's the quick access toolbar. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm just going to jump right into it. Let's go right into my Outlook screen here, and you'll see that I'm just in my calendar and my email. Let's just start with email. So when you're in your Outlook email, you're going to see that you have focused and other. Focused is a way that Microsoft has developed to help you understand whether this is a blind inbound email or an email with someone that you've got in your contacts or that you've had communication with before. I won't get into a whole lot more on that, but just keep in mind that you do have these 2 inboxes now if you're on 365. Let's start with a fun thing, just a very useful and fun thing. It's how to create a contact from an email. So whenever you receive an email, one of the things you might want to do is create a contact from it. Now notice I'm just going to drag and drop that over my people folder. It will create a contact, and that contact will be auto-filled with the first name and last name. The email address, display as, will be the full name. And then if there are fields or data in the body of the email, like a good one would be job title. Now notice I can just drag it. I don't have to copy paste, again, saving you a couple of steps there. Job title. Here's my phone that I might want to put into the phone number business area there. The company name, of course, just dragging it over. I'm just highlighting and dragging. And then there's also an address down here. So I can drag that over. And now I've basically created a complete contact out of this inbound email. If you're a Profit user, you're going to have other functions, like I could create a new opportunity with this. I could assign this contact to other people. I can get email alerts if somebody updates it and so forth. But those are functions of the Profit application that many of you, I'm sure, are already using or looking at. But in any event, all I really was doing is showing you how to create a contact from an inbound email. It's a very handy thing. While we're on this subject of creating things from email, why don't we just see if we can create an appointment with Nicole with the content of that email in it. Now I'm going to just drag it over my calendar. This is a handy function because you'll see that it keeps the content of the email. You can still edit it if you want, get rid of some of the junk in there. And now I've got this appointment that's created. And of course, I could invite the person here to it if I wanted to, invite attendees. I can give it, a title. Maybe I want to shorten that a little bit. That's just the subject line of the email to start off with. In any event, I'm going to delete the recipient here because I actually don't want to send it to anyone. But one of the things you can do in Outlook is categorize your appointments. So maybe this is an outbound call. These are categories that you can create in Outlook, by the way, just simple Outlook functionality. Maybe it's a follow-up. Maybe it's a, time to prepare for a meeting or what have you. I'll just make it an outbound call today, and we will put it on my calendar here. So I'm just creating a new appointment. The point is that we've created it from an inbound email. And the content of that email is part of the appointment, as you can see here. So there's that appointment. It's color coded. Let's talk a little bit about color coding while we're just on the subject of color coding. So I use color coding a lot throughout my calendar, through my contacts, through my tasks. The idea of color coding is to be able to quickly identify where you're spending your time. So you can have your calendar filled up with all kinds of different stuff. And if you've color coded them, then you can kind of get an idea of where you're spending your time. For example, here I have the green ones are live demonstrations with customers. The yellow ones are internal meetings. Careful not to have too many of those taken over your calendar, right? Non-revenue generating meetings. The blue color is that I've completed a follow-up. If it were colored my follow-up category, it'll be purple. You can also add multiple colors to a calendar item, and it'll show the secondary color down in the corner. So the point here is that you can use color to get more organized, especially around your calendar in this case. Here's something fun. Did you know you can create rules that basically will automatically color code a calendar item? So let's just go back in today, and let's just say I wanted to create a meeting here. And of course, I could just color code it, right? I could say this is a bid preparation meeting. So I could have it flagged as a bid, bid prep. I could call it prepare bid or something. And now I know that that's a bid preparation meeting. But there's actually a really cool thing you can do. It's called conditional formatting. In this case, it's for your calendar. So I'm going to go up here just while I'm in my calendar view here, my calendar screen. Along the top, you're going to see a row of tabs in this ribbon. We're going to go to the View tab, and we're going to go to View Settings, and we're going to say, let's create a conditional format for my calendar item. Okay, so I'm going to create a new one here. I've got a couple of webinar staff meeting, but I'm going to add a new one. So I click Add, and I'm going to entitle this Bid Prep. Obvious what that is probably to most of you, and I'm going to color that green color that I liked. And the condition is that bid prep is in the subject line in this case. Now it could be that you could choose other conditions like subject and notes field, which is in a calendar, but I'm just going to do subject line only for now. And I could do organized by and other criteria, but let's just say I wanted to have a simple coloring scheme that's automated that will color any appointment that I make with bid prep in the subject line that nice bright green. Click OK. Now here's the magic. Go in here to create that meeting again. This time I'm just going to put bid prep into the subject line, and as if by magic, it will color it the color that you chose. Okay, so that's pretty cool. The conditional formatting is something that you can use throughout Outlook. You can use it in your mail. So I could go into my mail settings and do formatting of my email. Now you're going to notice, like if I search for the term invoice, this is kind of cool. All of these have kind of a red color to them. If I search in, well, let me spell that correctly. I'll get more of them. So you can see all of these are colored kind of that bright red color. So those all have, you can see, in fact, the term is highlighted. So how did we do that? Well, I created a rule, a conditional formatting rule in this case. So I'm going to go in my inbox up here, and I'm going to go to View. We're going to click View Settings up on the upper left. we're going to click conditional formatting, just like we did before, but I'm going to add one called quote. And here's where you choose the font and the color. So let's make it kind of semi-bold, a little bit bigger, and let's make it stand out with a nice bright green. Okay, just like that. So basically what I'm doing is I'm saying I want it to be colored a bright green when certain things occur. That's the condition. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the word quote. In this case, I'm going to expand it to be in the subject or the message body, because as an email, it might be referencing a quote. And of course, quotes are very important in your business. So I can click OK. And now we have a new rule for any inbound email that has the term quote in it. So let me just clear that search up here. We'll get back into search here in a little while. And I'm gonna actually send an email to my account here from my another account that I have, a webmail account, and it's going to have, let me just log into that. It's going to have the term quote in the new email. So let me just get that going. All right, and I'm going to send it to my email account here, and the subject line is going to be request for quote. And it'll say, please send me a quote for XYZ, and I'm going to click send. So what this is doing is it's like I'm showing you, like I showed you with the invoicing, and like, for example, I have leads that are color coded bright green when they come in my inbox. What that's going to do is it's basically going to allow me to color code these emails so that they come in a certain color. So if I had it, my web leads, for example, are bright green, my invoicing are bright red. So it allows you to create an inbound email color coding scheme so that they pop out in your inbox. That's all pretty cool. I'm sure you'll agree. So let's talk about another type of automation from your inbox here, just to kind of help. The whole idea is kind of taming your inbox. One of the functions of your Microsoft Outlook program is that you can set up rules. Rules are found up here and in the ribbon, under the home ribbon, on top of the home ribbon, and you'll see that you can create rules or you can manage new rules. So here's how that works. For example, I have a rule here that I've created, and I'll show you how you've set it up. I've set it up, is that this rule is, first of all, it's only applies to messages with this term. It's a little small on your screen, I'm sure, but it says Zoom info save searches. I get a lot of those, and I do look at them from time to time, but I don't want them clogging up my inbox, so to speak. I want to kind of automate some of that. And what we want it to do is move it to the folder called Zoom info saved searches. So once I've set that up, all of the emails that are from that Zoom info sales searches, which was the criteria, are going to automatically be put into a folder on my folder list. And in fact, this is exactly what it looks like. I use all these. If they have the little bright blue numbers, that's how many unread emails you've had in that particular folder. So that's a very handy function. I have one called action required. You can set up criteria for, if there's an action required, maybe flagged a certain way or with certain subject lines or body. I've set up other alerts, action required. Oh yeah, a good one here that I like is read later. Maybe you want to set it up so that all the emails from your boss automatically go into a folder called read later. All right, that was intended to be a little bit funny there. But anyway, that's the rule concept. To create a new rule, it's pretty simple. You just go up here to rules, create rule. You decide what kind of rule it is. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to just say, oh, this, because I'm on that email, maybe any email from Nicole Cardello here is going to go into a folder that I select, maybe called their company name or something like that. So you select the folder to move it to. And so if it's from this person, you select the folder you want to move it to. Here's your folder list. Then any emails that you receive will automatically be routed to the folder for that client, let's just say. So there's like 100 different criteria you could use, but that's the basic idea of the Outlook email rule function. I will warn you or caution you that you can get a little carried away with rules, because still you might want to have to read those emails, especially those ones from your boss we were just talking about. By the way, you can ask questions as we go in the webinar. You know, you could do it through the Q&A chat or chat panel there. I'll keep an eye on that. And and remember, you can always contact me or our company after the webinar if you have questions that develop. So let's keep going. I know we're moving at a pretty quick pace. This has been recorded. You'll automatically get an email with the link to the recording. You can share with your friends and colleagues. So let's talk a little bit about tasks. So and kind of actually let's hold on a second. Let's set up your screens here. Let's help you set up your screens. One of the things I get questioned about a lot is how did I get this to, in the lower left corner of my icons to change it to nice, easily readable mail, calendar, people notes, etc. Well, there's 3 little dots, but here's how it's going to look when you by default. So it's called compact navigation. So many of you will not have changed that. It's got these little icons. I don't know. I just prefer the bigger letter spelled out what it is instead of trying to remember what is that thing there, you know? So you click on these 3 little dots, and the simplest thing, you go to navigation options and you just uncheck that box that says compact navigation, and voila, there's my nice big labels. I just like them better. It's up to you. You can also, while you're in here in navigation options, you can choose how many items that you want to show and what order they're in. So if I wanted to change this to 6 or 7 items, and I want to move, you know, shortcuts or folders up, or which moves them to the left, you can see how now I've got even more of these labels down here, which are really handy for doing things like tasks, you know, calendar, mail, and all that, just navigation stuff. It's pretty handy. Another thing that not everyone knows is that you can always open things in a new window. Like I might want to open this folder, but I want to have both windows open. I'm sure most of us all use multiple monitors these days. You just highlight over the folder that you want to open in a new window, and you select open in a new window. Simple, right? Now you'll notice too, a Windows function is this little task view. When I click on that, you can see all of these different screens that are active. So there's my my action required, there's my inbox, there's my Zoom phone, there's Profit CRM, and so forth. So the point here is that you can easily navigate using this little Windows function called Task View if you haven't discovered that yet. It shows up automatically when you have Windows 10. So the ribbon, oh, the ribbon's a good thing. So I mean, but it's a little complicated. One thing is that you're going to see there's some options. If you go into a blank area, you can say use simplified ribbon, and notice that just really kind of dumbs it down quite a bit. Again, go to that a blank area up in the upper right, and you say use classic ribbon, which is what I use. And by the way, it's about 99% of these things are not available in the Outlook web app. You can hardly do any of them, as a matter of fact. There's a few things they do let you categorize from there and so forth. But that's one of the reasons that we have built our platform for Profit CRM, and just a lot of the functionality for Outlook is found in the Outlook desktop client and using I like the classic view here. So again, right click, you can change it to the simplified ribbon. Some people like that. Change it back to the classic ribbon. Gives you all these options. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the customizing the ribbon here. Go to a blank area, and what you can see here is I can right click and say customize the ribbon. This is really handy because you might have too much. You might want to add stuff to it. It's very powerful function for customizing the ribbon, and its main navigation in Outlook. So this is important. Notice that on the right are all of the ribbon areas that have been enabled. Notice that if they have a little plus sign, there's things below them like new, deleted, speech, add-ins, and so forth. And so you can see up here in my add-ins, I have one for the sign attachments function. If I want to remove it, I just highlight that. It's a DocuSign add-in, and I remove it. Now, when I close, you're going to see that that's gone, right? You can add it back by just going into customize ribbon. You can add it back, going over here. Now, one of the things you'll want to do is probably change this from popular commands to say, main tabs, for example. And the home tab is what you get in your email home tab, of course. And then I can add things back in, like I can move DocuSign back in there just by highlighting, clicking the right arrow, and now it's going to be back into my view here for sign attachments. You can see it right there. That's the DocuSign add-in. So basically, I'm showing you that you can customize this ribbon and change it from classic to standard and all that. Yeah, I got a question here. Can you go back over having the profit open and inbox in the same time? Yeah, absolutely, sure. So let's just say I wanted to have my inbox open. Let's just put it on this one here. And I also wanted to have profit open, let's say my opportunity manager or contact manager, which are folders that that profit creates in Outlook. Let's say I wanted my opportunity manager open in the same in a new window at the same time. I just highlight over that folder, right click and say open in a new window. There's my opportunity manager in profit. I also have my inbox open. Now I would drag that usually to another screen. I have actually I have 4 monitors in my office right now. But that's how you do that. You just right click over the folder, open in a new window. It's pretty handy. So thank you for that question. Let's keep moving on. This program will probably last about an hour today, and I want to make sure we get through the main content. So let's keep moving here. So that was the ribbon. Let's talk about inserting content from templates. This is so much fun. I just love it. Let's say I'm going to create an email. And let's start with a very classic version of Outlook that, again, spans back to like 2010 that has this functionality. And let's say that I was going to write a letter to Brad, Brad Pitt or something, one of my contacts. I'll address it to him, getting ready to, let's just do Bradley Cooper. And I said, but it's the same content I've written probably 100 times. Well, there's a function in Outlook called Quick Parts. You access it through the insert part of the ribbon, and you can see I've got a whole library of quick parts. And maybe these are some kind of basic email blurb that I want to put in there, and I want to send them some videos. Well, I just inserted that from a template rather than having to copy paste or create it every time. Okay, let me show you that again. I just went insert. I went over to this Quick Parts drop down here, and I selected that blurb, that block of text. Okay, that's one way to do it. But here's another way. Once you've set up those quick parts, you'll give it a name, and that name becomes a keyword to bring it up automatically. So if I start typing in the word videos, you can see it's even predicting that I want to insert that content. All right, now I create my email, I click send, and that was so easy, wasn't it? But here's another way to do it. They each have their kind of pros and cons, but let's just say I wanted to create an email, but this is a Microsoft 365 function. It's called templates. Pretty obvious what that means. Well, you can create templates in this sidebar, and then you can have all of these content blocks just created from the right sidebar there. So let me undo that, and I'll show you another one. Again, they're all my templates here. There's a little blurb, create my email, and now I can click send, and everybody gets that, or in this case, the recipient gets that email that it comes from a template. How you create new templates is you simply copy paste them into the sidebar. Remember, we're on view templates over here on the right. You just click the plus sign and copy paste, give it a title, and that will be one of your new templates. So that's a function of how you can insert content from templates or quick parts into an email. But interestingly enough, it works in calendar as well. So I have one called Zoom. That's my Zoom meeting blurb. So I don't have to copy paste or create it every time. Here's another little thing. Let's say that you're, so in other words, you can use quick parts in calendars items as well. But in case you didn't know it, you can create an appointment and make it a Teams meeting with a single click. Now, maybe you're using Profit CRM and you created this appointment from a Profit contact or opportunity or what have you. Then that Teams meeting is just integrated in right to the calendar item you created in Profit. Because, of course, Profit CRM uses the Outlook calendar. Now, I know a lot of you, or many of you on the calls, maybe use our CRM, maybe you don't. This isn't really a sales pitch for Profit. It's really more about how to get more out of Outlook, but just thought I'd mention that. Another type of, I guess you'd call it template, is a thing called, this is awesome. It's called Quick Steps. You're going to see it in your home ribbon and in your email. Okay, you can see it right in this area. And here's one called my quick steps options. All of these are, well, they're automated functions. Like I have one called a new order email. Check this out. I'll show you how to create it in a second, but look, it created the email. It's all filled out. I can still edit it. It's, I'm going to add maybe the copy of the contract. It goes to my customer success team, and wow, ready to send. I didn't do anything. It's already addressed to the right people, recipients. It could be multiple, just like any email. It has a subject line. It has the content. And I, of course, since it's ordered from a new customer, I hope I'm doing this a lot, which I do, of course. Awesome. So that's called this function is called quick steps. Now, you'll see here that you can do a new quick step, and there's a bunch of things you can do, but maybe it's like a new email. And so new email to, let's just say vendor, maybe you're in the procurement side, and you're going to say you can say, I want this message to be sent to somebody in my, or a distribution list in my address book, if you want. Just add it there. And I want some content in it. So for that, you'll want to go into options and add your content down here. And when you do that, then you have a new quick step with whatever name you've given it, which you can launch at any time. Pretty handy thing. Yeah, and again, that's called quick steps, not to be confused with quick parts. So quick steps is a handy one. And by the way, many of you probably know this, but you can, let's say you didn't have your email set up to automatically insert your signature. Well, you can insert signatures just natively through Outlook. Just insert template, insert signature, and you can do main or reply. That's useful too, though, in a meeting. Let me just jump to that again. Maybe what I wanted to do is put my Zoom meeting blurb, and let's say I didn't have my signature in that template. I could just say here, insert template signature, and now I've got my signature in an email as well, or in an appointment rather. So that's an example of how to use the signaturing function. That's pretty handy. By default, most Outlook clients are set up to include your signature, but what about in a calendar item, right? Exactly. So we're trucking along pretty good on time. I am keeping an eye on the Q&A. All right, and chat, so nothing new there. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about tasks now. Tasks is one of the more misunderstood functions of Outlook, or not, maybe underutilized function of Outlook. But I wanted to kind of go back and explain a sort of a concept here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about tasks. So Outlook itself has these multiple functions, but by far the four most important functions are Outlook email, of course, your communications, your calendar, managing your time. We talked a little bit about that. Tasks are your to-do list to help you make sure you get things done. If we have time, we'll get into contacts in today's webinar as well. But we're going to talk a little bit about tasks. Well, one thing is you can create a task list on your calendar or from your email. Let me just show you a really cool thing. Is I can just be in my email, but I want to have my task bar, my to-do bar over on the right, like I have in some of my other screens. So to do that, you're just going to go up to the View tab, and you're going to select to-do bar, and let's say I want it to be tasks. Wow, cool. Now in my email, I can also see my to-do list. Pretty awesome, huh? And by the way, I could change that to a calendar. So I can have add my calendar to it as well on my taskbar. This is still my reading pane. But maybe I want to move my reading pane to the bottom just for the fun of it. You can do that as well. So that's all found here in the layout. Use tighter spacing. How do you want your folder to be set up? Your reading pane, which is your preview. Where do you want your to-do bar? What do you want in it? Do you want your calendar and tasks and so on? So that's a pretty handy way to do that. And if you're in your calendar, you can actually put your task list or your maybe your contacts or something over on the right as well. Not too shabby. All right. Well, okay, I have a question. It's how do you get your template button on the new email ribbon? Well, you have to be in a 365 environment. But once you are, if you're on Microsoft 365 and Outlook 365, which is all part of it, you should just see it. If you don't, you can use this customize the ribbon function that we talked about. So templates are one of the main function here. See my templates? Maybe that's not pushed into the view yet. So that would be something to check if you don't see that there. But first you have to be on 365. Just thanks for the question though, Amy. Let's keep going. We're making some pretty good progress here. So we're talking about tasks, and you can always just create a new task right here. You simply type something in, or you can go to your tasks window, your task shortcut down here, create a new task. I'll just say, call Melanie, right, or whatever. If somebody came into mind. And let's say I wanted to categorize that. I have prioritization as categories, and I want to make it due today. So I'm just creating a new task. I'll show you a few other cool things in a minute. And maybe I just want a reminder to do it, later in the afternoon or something. So I'm going to save and close that. You can see it created that new task. Right here it is right here. Now you can sort by any of these columns, by the way. So if you want to sort by start date, you can sort by start date or subject line or what have you. So now you're going to see that task that I just created is right here. It's called Melanie. Excellent. So you can create tasks, and the distinction that I wanted to share with you all in today's call is this: that your calendar is for managing your time. Where do you spend your time? Of course, with meetings. People think of the calendar mostly with meetings, but you can also use it to block off times, like to follow up with someone, to just block off some time to get something done, prepare your bids or whatever it is. So it's not all just about meetings with people. Of course, that's a main function of it. Your task list is to help you make sure you get things done, right? This is your to-do list. Think of it this way. Well, tasks, when they get the time gets behind your scheduled completion date, you'll see they turn red. Here's a little tip for you. If you get a whole lot of red items, you're probably getting a little behind in your to-do list. So keep that in mind. For example, if call Melanie was something that was due yesterday, you're going to see now it's turned red. So the difference is that next week, I look at my calendar. I'm not going to go back and look at my last week or the week before so much. So I have a fresh new calendar, but your tasks persist. That's the main point that I'm making here as to one of the values of using tasks, is your tasks help you get things done and they persist. Your calendar moves into the future. Your task list just stays there and keeps you reminding you to do stuff. And you can color code them by priority and things of that nature. We're going to talk a little bit about how all of this relates to context now. And many of you know, if you're Profit users, there's the whole contact manager function in Profit CRM, which is an Outlook add-in. Essentially, it's kind of an enterprise level Outlook add-in. So you can manage your contacts in this, if you're a Profit user, in your contacts. But before we even go there, let's talk a little bit about how contacts work in Outlook. So I'm just here on my people folder now. The first thing I wanted to share with you is a concept of your view. The most useful ones I find are the business card view, because they kind of give you a little snapshot of everything. You can see all of my contacts in here. Card view is a simplified view of a business card. Phone view is some simple list, but the list view is very useful too, because you can then organize things in your contacts by things like category, job title, company. You can group them and you can do all kinds of neat things in here. Profit CRM does utilize or picks up the Outlook categories. So let's say that I wanted to change the categories of those 4 or 5 contacts. I can just select them, right click, and choose my categories. Like, let's say they're all prospects, or maybe they're all clients, or maybe they're all consultants or something like that. And that will basically then color code them so that you can then sort by your categories in Outlook. But again, contact management in Outlook, regardless of whether you have a CRM that sits in Outlook or is embedded in Outlook, it's useful to be able to create contacts. Now, another thing you can do is create different folders. Not everyone has done this yet. Folders are a concept like your inbox, but these are for contacts. So for example, I have a folder called LinkedIn Contacts. Turns out, by the way, that without any cost, you can download LinkedIn connections as contacts into Outlook. You just Google the term download LinkedIn contacts to Outlook, and you'll see that there's a nice little utility to do that. Puts them in an Outlook format. You can put them in its own folder, but you can have other types of folders, you know, personal contacts and that sort of thing. I do want to also point out, though, that maybe one of these contacts, well, let's do a little thing here. I'm going to go just into my general contact view, and I'm going to search for a term just to kind of narrow this down. And all of these contacts have that term in them. But maybe what I wanted to do is move all of these to a separate folder. So maybe that's a project name or something. So all of these belong in a different folder. So you can basically go over here to the right and create a new folder, and we'll just call it Madagascar, just because I use that as a unique word. And now I've just created a new folder. Again, I just right-clicked over here on the contacts, said create new folder. Now I have this new folder called Madagascar, and I can, by the way, another example of, I guess you'd say, using open in a new window is maybe I wanted to move some of these contacts into that folder. Now I could just do a copy paste or a drag and drop, but in this case, I'm going to say I want all of my, let's go back into my list views here. I'm just going to show you, I'm in two windows now. Okay, so one of them is empty and the other is there's my list, and I want to put in my search term. Do that same thing. All this is doing is looking for any contact that anywhere in it, it has this term in it. Could be even a city or something like that. Okay, so then I select all of the contacts from that list. Now I'm going to do it a little slower. So let's say it's all these. Move it over to my other screen, and then I would just drag them into this one. And there they are, right? So that's concept of creating new folders, useful in CRM too, because you might want a folder called your CRM contacts, or maybe you just want most of them in your main contact folder, but maybe you want some that are specific to a particular project or something like that. Yeah, so another question I had, just to bounce around, not to bounce around too much, but one of the questions I have is, are you using categories to color code your task? Absolutely. So you can see some of these are color coded already. If I wanted to color code a task, I can open it or just right click on it, and I can give that a color category. So in fact, you can see here, I should be able to do it from a right click. Yeah, categorize. There you go. So I can say that's for bid prep. Maybe I want that one, and it's a follow-up or a, you know, whatever. So these are my categories. Now, while I'm at it, it's one category list in Outlook, and it works throughout contacts. It works with email, and it works with tasks. So the same category function that is in Outlook here is available throughout those functions of Outlook. Again, task, email, and contact. So while I'm in this, the idea is I just go into all categories here, and this is where I can create a new category. You just give it a name, you know, call this training, or no, I already have one called training. Let's do bid preparation again, and let's make it a blue this time. So I just created a new category called, I already have one called bid prep. So I'll just call it bid prep 2. There we go. Now it's blue. So that's a new category. Again, I just clicked new, gave it a name, picked a color, away we go. So thank you for that question there, Pat. Let's see here. While we still have time, I want to make sure we get through the rest of the cool stuff. By and large, we're trying to focus here mostly on Outlook, but of course we weave a little bit of Profit CRM, since it's an extension of Outlook into this whole discussion. So what have we covered so far? I think we've made a lot of progress. understanding the basic functions of Outlook: email for communications, calendar for managing your time, tasks for keeping, getting things done, and contacts as your kind of your electronic Rolodex, setting up views, arranging your screens. Play around with that. You're going to find it'll just help you be more productive, opening views in a new window by folder or view. The ribbon, lots of stuff that we did with the ribbon. Let's see, quick parts, templates, quick step, signature. Oh, let's go into searching a little bit. We'll wrap up with that today. Searching is, again, kind of a misnomer in that it's really about finding, right? Are you searching just for the sake of it? No, you're searching to find something. So probably the most popular search, it would be an email search. So let's start with that. And let's just say I wanted to find any email that had, well, I'll just copy paste it so that we have it exact. But let's say I wanted to find any email with this person's name in it. What you may not know is that when you put something in the search box up here, it actually adds a new new tab called search. You don't see that unless you put something in the search. Ooh, and now look at all this fun stuff. We can search by who it's from, the subject line, whether or not it has attachments. Categories search is handy, because remember, you can categorize emails, who it was sent to, but maybe I just want to do a simple name search. So now I have two of these emails that have that person's name in them. And basically, that's the most simple search. But let's try another one here. To clear out a search, you just click the X, by the way. And let's say that I wanted to do an AND search. What that means is I want two criteria. Let's just go to one of these folders where I have a lot of emails. That'd be fun. Let's just do my Zoom info. Save searches is always a good one. By the way, Zoom info is a great program if you want to learn about that sometime. I could share with you how we use it, but okay. So let's just say I wanted to have a search that has Zoom info and a term like CBRE. Okay, so I'm going to just put Zoom info. Be careful of your spacing, and I'm going to put the capitalized letters and CBRE. So now I'm going to get Zoom info and a particular term. So see how I picked up all the emails with those two terms. Now that's pretty powerful, don't you think? So while we're having some fun here, that's some of the basics of searching. And again, I've got a lot of videos on this already, but those are some of the basic things that you do. I do want to point out that you can also search your calendar for terms, like weekly. There's all my weekly calendar items. Clear the search, goes back to your regular calendar. You can search by email address, search for any term you want on your calendar. So that's pretty handy. All right, one more question, then we'll call it a wrap here pretty momentarily. Is there a way to import all the contacts in your inbox into contacts? Well, as a matter of fact, Outlook has a function. Let's go into contacts here, called people. Let's change the name of it. A thing called suggested contacts. That's basically what, well, let's go into suggested contact. That's basically what this is it's saying you have all these from inbound emails, you have all these people and you have their first name, last name, and email address. So it basically has already created them. You could then go in and open that contact and fill it out, move it to a different folder if you want. But so Outlook already has that function. So it's called suggested contacts. So if you want to explore that a little bit more, that would be just awesome. All right. Well, this has been a fun program today. Let me just post my contact information. If you don't already know how to reach me, here it is. And if you work with other account managers or folks here, feel free to reach out to them as well. I'm glad we could hopefully add some value to your day today, and look forward to seeing you on the next webinar, or just give me a call. Thanks and have a great day.